What's going on, boxing fans? So let's try this again. As you can see on the title, we got some news that's, I guess, somewhat breaking. But before I get into that, I didn't make a recap video of Keith Thurman versus Luis Collazo, and we had a little bit of some technical difficulties on Monday nights. GYGB Boxing Podcast. So some of you have been asking me what I thought about the fight. I predicted Thurman to win, but basically, like, going into the fight, man, I said one of the major things about Keith Thurman that I think attracts the fans is not only, his offense per se, but it's really him being a vulnerable fighter. And it played out in this fight. I mean, Luis Collazo was always, like I said, like I mentioned in the video, man, I mean, he fought Ricky Hatton, he fought Shane Mosley, he fought Berto. And out of those two fights, I think out of those three fights, I thought he won the Ricky Hatton and the Andre Berto fight. But being as he looked against Amir Khan, I'm like, all right, well, maybe this is kind of like the end of the road. But look, man, it's a weird kind of trend we're starting to see with these fighters, man. These fighters that are being maybe put on pedestals a little higher than they should, or maybe by the fighters themselves. Keith Thurman, he got the win, based off Collazo not coming out of the corner and from the cut eye. But it's just a weird set of events, from the body shot to what it looked as if, Collazo was putting it on, and then out of nowhere, the fight, he just kind of bows out of the fight. Look, I wasn't in the ring. I don't know how Collazo's vision was, but it's almost like out of character for him, considering the type of fights he's been in. Nevertheless, Keith Thurman will go on to fight another day. And again, man, I mean, I don't think it's a situation where Keith Thurman was exposed. I want to say, I mean, we've seen this happen. I mean, he's been rocked before. And I mean, at least to his credit, man, he hung in there. He didn't bow out. He didn't grab and try to make it a non-eventful fight. And look, and on top of it, too, man, I mean, he was lighting up Collazo with some shots as well. I mean, I just think when you look at the welterweight division, I mean, he's still one of the top guys as far as the guys that we're going to be looking for in the next couple of years. There's names such as Danny Garcia, that's at 147 now. We got to see what happens with Marcos Maidana. He needs to lose some weight. Then there's Sean Porter, and the obvious name that's been coming up as of recent is Errol Spence. Now, I will be the first to back Thurman in this as far as that fight's concerned. And to me personally, I think all this is them building Errol Spence's name in relation to, like, matching him up or putting his name next to guys that are already maybe a little above him as far as level of competition they face. I mean, because look, as good as Errol Spence is, and we all know he's good, he doesn't have really any names on his resume at all. But I think that's a fight that will materialize down the road. I mean, I don't think that far in the future, but I think for Errol Spence, man, I mean, I think that he's still at that point where, like, he's starting to get, like, those looks. But for Thurman, man, I mean, I think he's more at a point where he's going to be fighting top guys more so than Errol Spence right now. And I don't think they should be rushing Errol Spence that quick yet. Again, we all know how good the kid is, but again, we've seen what happens in boxing when you rush these guys in. And I'm not saying Thurman is a lion by the definition of, when you talk about these fighters getting put in the lion's den. But, I mean, that's a huge step up in relation to what Spence has seen so far. So I don't see the immediate rush. On top of that's a fight that I think down the road can make some money. So if they're smart, I don't think they put that fight on right away. So we'll have to see what happens with Keith Thurman. But I'm not somebody who's really dogging him. I mean, I just see him for what he is, man. I mean, I don't think, when they're saying, like, he's like a predecessor to Floyd or he's going to hold the mantle, I mean, I won't go that far. I still think he's going to be one of the top guys in the division, and however that plays out, we'll have to wait and see. So on to matters at hand. It's mid-July, and we all know Floyd's last contracted fight is going to be in September, and by now we thought we would have heard some official announcement as to who his final opponent would be. And my opinion was that Amir Khan was going to get this fight only because he was the last guy, I suppose, that had somewhat of a fan base to work off of to build the fight that we would think would be on pay-per-view. But when we saw, or at least when I saw the numbers trickling in from how much they made off of the Pacquiao fight, I told my brethren in Philly, the whole GYGB crew, I was like, yo, do not be surprised if his next fight's on CBS. And the main reason is I think it's if there's any way to launch, or not even launch, but to really put the PBC label like up there. I mean, Floyd isn't like, I guess, one of the PBC fighters that we've been seeing. I mean, he's got a contract with Showtime, who's the parent company to CBS, but he is a Heyman fighter. So essentially, he would fit the mold. But I mean, I think at this point, considering the Pacquiao fight made 500 some odd, 600 some odd $1 million, Floyd walked away with like $230 million. The pay-per-view was $100 a pop. They had to get I mean, people say Floyd doesn't have to do anything, but I think realistically they had to go this route, because I don't think that considering the general public, they weren't very pleased with the product as far as what Mayweather Pacquiao was or what ended up becoming, that even to put a $70 price tag, it's still in that realm of like paying close to $80, $90, $100. And I think it would have been a tough sell with what they had available. So to me, it's a no-brainer. I think it's a great way to for Al Heyman's, you know, for the whole PBC brand. It's huge. I mean, it puts the number one fighter in the world on network television fighting, which is something I don't think we've seen in a very, very long time. And I think, you know, when you talk about boxing on network television, you know, you gotta put premier guys on there. I mean, it's not. We all know they're not gonna be huge fights every single time, but the name for Floyd Mayweather that's being touted out there, and it looks as if will be the guy that Floyd will fight September 12th, is Andre Berto. And Andre Berto's another Al Heyman fighter. He's trained by Virgil Hunter, who ironically trains Amir Khan. And, you know, there was little rumblings about it when Floyd threw his name and Kareem Mayfield's name out there as far as potential opponents. But, you know, off rip, people, they're going to criticize this fight. And I'll be the first to tell you, man, I'm not surprised. And I think this was the obvious route they were going to go. I didn't, you know, if they were going to do the Khan fight, I think maybe they would have approached it through like the pay-per-view route. But I think, you know, when you look at the stock of guys that he had available, none of those guys really made for a huge event. Now, again, you know, they're coming off the biggest pay-per-view event in the history of pay-per-view, the history of boxing. So it's hard to top that. So I think the next best way to do it is to put it on free TV. And, you know, I'm not 100% sure as far as the sponsors that would be getting behind it, but for CBS, I mean, this is huge for them to go this route. And I think the whole idea would be not so much of them painting this intriguing matchup with Floyd and Berto, but I think it's like the swan song, so to speak. You know, the final the curtain call for Floyd Mayweather. Now, again, this is all us believing that he's going to retire after this contract. And there's a lot of people that think that that's not going to happen, and you know, he's going to come out of the woodworks in a year's time or so, which might or might not be the smartest thing. But I think for right now, I mean, I think Floyd's attitude is he's good with being 48 or 49-0, which is likely what would happen in this scenario, or very likely. But I think they stack the card up, get 2 solid fights underneath, and I mean, I'll watch it. It's free TV. It's CBS. I mean, I have no excuse not to watch it. I mean, it's not a fight that like I'm gonna be hitting people up like, yo, you gotta watch it, you gotta watch it. But at the same time, casual sports fans, whether they like Floyd or they don't, they'll watch it on CBS for free. I mean, that's just is what it is. You know, that's what. And again, I think that's why they are probably likely going this route, because I think if they do put a fight with Andre Berto and Floyd Mayweather on pay-per-view, I mean, you're looking at the pay-per-view numbers going from his last fight from here to like here, and trust me, I mean, that fight will not sell on pay-per-view. So the CBS ratings would be crazy, and it's a very, very winnable fight for Floyd Mayweather. Whether or not it's going to be a super exciting fight, I mean, it's tough to really tell. I mean, Berto's had a number of exciting fights, but, you know, we've always seen with Floyd, he knows how to eliminate your offense. And if that happens, you know, Floyd himself isn't going to come out of the, you know, the cage, so to speak, and light these dudes up, man. I mean, I think he just puts on exhibitions and just makes these fighters look stupid. So no official word has been made yet, but I mean, it's July 15th as I make this video. September 12th literally is less than 2 months away, and you know, they got to make an announcement now. I do think that both Floyd and Berto have already been training. And I think similar to what happened with the second Maidana fight, they just kind of like announced it out of nowhere. No press tours, no nothing. I don't think they'll do that for this. Just maybe a lot of promotion for the fact that, you know, it would be on CBS and it's Floyd's last fight, which is, I think, how they're going to paint it. You know, I think that's how the fight should be promoted if they're going to really put it on network television. So I'm sure we're going to hear an official announcement like really I mean, it could be tonight, you know, for all we know. But as it stands, it looks like Floyd Mayweather will be facing Andre Berto potentially on CBS. I want to go ahead and say it's going to be on CBS. And, you know, they probably could put an Errol Spence, Sean Porter fight on the undercard or something, you know, along those lines. So, you know, we'll have to wait and see. You know, maybe by next Monday for the next podcast, we'll be making that announcement that Floyd is fighting Andre Berto. But that's pretty much it, man. I mean, let me know what you think about Floyd Mayweather versus Andre Berto. Let me know if you think this is going to be Floyd's last fight. I'm going on record saying it won't be. So, as I always say, tune in every Monday night, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time for the GYGB Boxing Podcast. You can go to talkshoe.com and just search GYGB and, you know, myself, Cole Train, Docs, Ride or Die, Sleep. As we always say, we speak for the cheap seats. And like I said, man, let me know what you think. And there's fights this weekend. Chavez Jr. On Showtime. We got Sergey Kovalev coming up the following weekend as well. So not the most eventful month as opposed to last month, but August, I think, is going to be another month, you know, filled with fights. So we'll have to wait and see. So let me know what you think. Proposed Floyd Mayweather, Andre Berto fight. And as I always say, subscribe, hit the links, and I'll be back with you soon.